All right. Well, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for joining us on the call. This program is one of a series of programs that we have planned on business-related topics. If you would have asked me 4 months ago, what's our game plan for doing something like this, my answer would have been, well, once a year we'll have a convention or something like that, and we'll all get together and talk about business-related subjects. Along comes a global pandemic, and one of the outcomes of all of this is a realization that the technologies are out there and exist for us to be able to do short virtual trainings like this and to do them with a lot more frequency. The other advantage is that we're also able to record these presentations so that no matter how many people are on live, we're able to do the presentations in a way that we can record them, post them to our website, and make them available to people for viewing on their own time. So I want to welcome everybody live, welcome everybody that's watching the recording. My name is Jeff Byriger. I'm the Executive Director for the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association of Wisconsin. So a couple of things for those who are joining us on the program. We are going to put you on mute throughout the program. Because I'm kind of controlling that on my end, if you are wanting to ask a question, I'm going to encourage you to use the chat feature at the bottom and let us know. And then when we see that light up, we'll know that we either can unmute you and you can ask your question, or I will see it and I will ask the question directly of Kathy. I'm going to let our speaker introduce herself, but I do want to point out one thing that we shared as we're going through all of this. As you see something, part of our purpose in doing this is to help connect you with people who may have answers for the questions that you're looking to get related to your business. So on each of the slides that you're about to see, you'll see information there that includes contact information for our speaker, and feel free to make contacts afterwards. These are programs that are meant to have a little bit of shelf life, and one of the ways to keep them live is to make sure that we're able to continue the dialogue and connect people, and that's part of what we want to do here during the course of the day today and with all of these programs. So look for more information about these. Our speaker today, Kathy Ramos, will be doing more of these programs for us along with some other speakers that we have lined up. Kathy is the owner of IBC Bookkeeping Solutions. And with that, Kathy, I'm going to turn the program over to you. Welcome and thank you.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you setting this up and letting me come in and talk a little bit about this IBC as well as the PPP loans and other things that are offered through the SBA. So I just like to start with introducing myself. My name is Kathy Ramos of IBC, and I just changed my name, Business Solutions, because we do more than bookkeeping. I've been doing the books for small businesses for nearly 40 years. We not only create great financials here at IBC, but we have implemented systems to use as tools to drive profit so that we can help your business not only survive, but thrive. And I hope everybody out there is doing well and staying safe. So who do we have on the call this afternoon? We got a couple people, a couple of guys.
Hi, my name's Gary Gauthier. I'm from International Code Council.
Oh, great. Hi, Gary. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. And then we had, is it Dale? Dale Arndt?
Yeah, Dale Arndt and Son Plumbing.
Yeah. How you doing, Dale?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you being here. So, so where are you guys calling in from? Zooming in from?
Brooklyn, Wisconsin, south of Madison, 13 miles.
I'm from Lowell, Massachusetts.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. All right. And what's the weather like today out there? Good?
It's kind of sticky.
Is it? Oh, okay. Ours is kind of partly cloudy today, so the sun's trying to peek through. So anyway, I just wanted to come in and like I said, I've been doing this for like 40 years, so I know how hard it can be to run a business on a good day, and now we have this new challenge. So I wanted to address some of the things that in our lives and businesses that many of us have been going through lately. And then I'd like to offer some information on SBA funding options that are available. So how is everybody feeling about your businesses? Are you kind of iffy, not sure you'll be hanging in there much longer? Are you holding your own? Things are pretty steady, or are you really rocking it and you're having record calls and just can't keep up?
It's been very busy the last few weeks.
Yeah? Excellent.
Yeah, and I work with a lot of folks from a lot of different trades, and the messages that I'm getting from almost everybody is that they're having pretty good years. A lot of it
Good.
is backlog from previous years because we're coming off a pretty busy 2019 and early 2020. So
Wow.
a little holding their breath probably for seeing what happens at the end of the year with the economy and all. But right now, everybody seems to be hitting it pretty good. That's the message we're
Excellent.
getting.
Oh, that's good to hear. Good to hear.
It's good to be essential.
So, yeah, there you go. Absolutely. So I was just going to go through this because these are tough times and the economy does cycle, but this current business trend has just been a hell of a ride. For many people, first there was shock. Many businesses were shut down. People wondering, how does this affect us? Next, there's fear, desperation. What will we do? Will my family be okay? Will my business survive? And then next we start to evaluate what actions do I need to put into place to ensure the safety of my family and continuation of my business. We started to think forward, and then we start to take deliberate action. Some actions may not work out, so we tweak and course correct, pivoting services to accommodate safety measures and government compliance. And then finally, we come through as a surge of new or rediscovered businesses like car factories creating ventilators, clothing manufacturers creating masks, and new delivery services that many of us are enjoying, as well as curbside pickup, and these online versus in-person meetings, etc. So we're all finding new ways to make things work, such as getting help from the Small Business Administration, which is also known as the SBA. So just the first thing to know with the SBA is that you do have options. There is more than one program out there. And as of this last week, there were still over $1.2 billion available. And they have several programs to choose from. And these include bridge loans, debt relief, EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and finally that PPP, or Paycheck Protection Program, that everybody has been talking about. These bridge loans, these are specifically designed to get money into your hands quickly, and this would go through an SBA lender. So you'd have to have a relationship with a lender and go through them to get these funds, and you can get up to $25,000. So if you want to check in with your financial institution, see if they are an SBA lender, this bridge loan would actually be repaid in full or in part, depending on your situation, with your EIDL proceeds. So it kind of ties into that program as well. The debt relief program, this one's really cool. This is actually, you don't have to do anything for this program. If you already have an SBA program, SBA loan, the SBA will pay your loan payments for 6 months, and you don't have to do anything for this. It's automatic. For folks who had started paying these, they implemented this in March, and people who had already paid their loan payments were getting refunds of their loan payments because the SBA was taking care of these loans. So for the next 6 months, the loan payments are taken care of for existing as well as new loans. So if you were going to, if you decided, oh, I could use some of these funds that are available, you can still apply by September 27th of this year to apply to get these funds and have these loan payments paid for you for the next 6 months. So you have a little bit of time there to access these funds if you'd like. Once that 6 months is over, you also have till the end of the year where you don't have to make a loan payment. So if your 6 months is up come August or so, you still do not need to make a loan payment by the end till the end of through the end of the year. So just so you know, the interest will be accruing, so that the payments don't have to be made, but the interest is accruing. So that's just an additional help there for your cash flow if you're running into some issues, which it sounds like you guys are doing pretty good. And
What's the interest rate on those right now, Kathy?
the EIDL is 3.75, and it's a 30-year amortization on that.
Right.
So yeah, pretty sweet for a business loan. The next one I wanted to mention was the economic injury disaster loan, EIDL. Let's keep it short and sweet, right? There's a couple of parts to this. You could get an advance based on the number of employees you have. If you qualify for this advance, it's up to $10,000 in emergency funds that does not have to be repaid. So if you apply for that advance, that EIDL advance, and you get that, you do not have to give that back. There's also just the economic injury disaster loan. Again, this is that one that's 3.75 for 30 years. And this just recently reopened up last week again. They had narrowed it down to only agricultural businesses, and now they've reopened it to qualified small businesses as well. So if you're thinking about expanding your business, buying equipment, hiring new employees, this might be a good option to help you move forward more quickly if you are in that mode where you're thinking, hey, I'm ready to move to the next level with my business. It might be a great opportunity to do that because, like I said, and you probably already know that the economy does cycle, and we're kind of in a downward thing here, but it does cycle. So 30 years is a long time. This program is actually administered directly by the Small Business Administration, so you need to apply with them. So I can send you more information about this, the applications for this, as well as the PPP loan and everything. Just email or text us at IBC Business Solutions, and we'll be happy to send you those details.
Yes, Kathy, question for you. As you go through the various loan options, are any of them mutually exclusive? Meaning you cannot get this one if you have applied for some other type of assistance, or are they all on the table?
They are all on the table, but one will repay another. Like that, that bridge loan would be paid for by the EIDL, and the PPP loan, if you were to get that EIDL advance, that $10,000 advance that was forgiven, that would reduce your PPP forgiveness on that loan. So they're tied into each other a little bit. It does get a little bit wonky there. It's a little convoluted. So that's a good question. So you'd have to look at each individual situation.
So Kathy, in our company, we ended up getting the PPP loan, and we have that. But then also, on the same EPP, I applied for $100,000 with the 1% interest, and now they extended it to 5 years from the 1 year at 1% interest. Now, this other stuff here with the 10,000, the advance, the $10,000 up to $10,000, $1,000 per employee. You say that there, if you take that, that would come out of your PPP though.
That would be the 10,000. The forgive. Pardon?
We already have the PPP, so
right.
I wouldn't be able to apply for. If I did apply for that, then it just take that out of the PPP. Then I take it.
So the portion of the portion of the PPP that's forgiven, it would be taken out of that. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
So finally, this is the grand kahuna, the big kahuna. This is the one everybody's been talking about. This Paycheck Protection Program, of course, as you guys know, it provides relief to help small businesses with job retention and certain other expenses. And eligible recipients may qualify for loans up to $10 million, and it's based on your average monthly payroll costs multiplied by 2.5. And they are still available, like we were talking earlier. Loan payments, repayments will be deferred for 6 months. So once your time frame is up, you'll want to apply for that forgiveness. If there's portions of this loan that are not forgiven for whatever reason, it, like you said, it does, they have extended that to 5 years. I'm not quite sure if that, you said it's at 1%. I did not see where that had changed, but I know things are changing constantly on that. So hopefully that will remain the same. If you have been given a PPP loan prior to June 5th and you are under the 8-week scenario, you can still make your application in that time frame with those figures of the 75-25 within the 8 weeks versus this 60-40 in the 24 week, just to let you know here. So the PPP is still available. If you need it, apply now as soon as you can. June 30th, it's like a week away here. And that's when the approvals will be accepted, through June 30th. So you want to get it in prior to that so your bank can take a look at that and get you pushed through. So if your financial institution is not an SBA lender, I do have a statewide list. So if you need that, you just let me know. I'll get that out to you. For currently, to qualify for forgiveness, the funds must be spent in the following manner: 60% on gross wages, group health, retirement costs, and state unemployment is included in that. And the 40%, it's only the interest on your mortgage if you do have a building, a mortgage, the rent, your utilities, and transportation costs. So if you were, go ahead.
Go ahead. Tell me a little bit more about the transportation cost. What is that? Fuel for our trucks and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Yep. If you had deducted it on your taxes last year as a business expense, that is includable in this figure.
Does that includes mileage expenses?
Yeah.
For vehicles used in business? And a lot of small businesses will own their own facilities, either in a separate corporation, and pay rent essentially to themselves. Not a problem with that. That's still considered a rent payment.
Right.
Because it's still
There's
would
two
have been
separate
deductible on their
entities.
taxes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And as far as phones and that includes cell phones besides just landlines and stuff like that for utilities?
Yes, whatever you had in your utilities, if you were deducting it last year on your taxes, you want to include it in this number.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So, I've been telling my clients to, when they get these funds, to keep them in a separate account and to only move over the money that they're spending on these specific expenses. So it's not intermingled funds, that's easily trackable. You say your payroll, you have payroll this week, you got to pay your mortgage this week. Take those specific numbers, those specific funds, and move those over to your checking wherever that money's coming out. Move those over just as you need them, so that you know what you're working with. So that's been helping quite a bit. I know my folks have been really thankful I told them that up front, because it really has helped them manage. You know, it's not all commingled funds and they're worried about what is what. So anyway, so why, if any of this is overwhelming to you, you know, and you'd like our help, we'd be happy to talk with you. Please give us a call, contact us. We have a complimentary 30-minute session, so we can learn more about you and how we can help. Why would you want to work with us? This can be daunting. How do you account for the money being spent? There are pitfalls. The rules keep changing. And with us, you will get every penny you're entitled to qualifying for forgiveness. We have complete and accurate documentation used to easily submit for forgiveness. These programs have had many updates, and we are staying on top of the law. And besides, is this what you really want to spend your time on? And finally, you can sleep at night knowing that you've done everything you could for your business. So give us a text. Please give us a text or a call, and we'd be happy to talk with you.
Kathy, can I ask another question related to the forgiveness portion of this? One of the
Sure.
questions that we'll get, for instance, is depending upon the date that you act, if everybody got their loans on the first day of the month, this would have been easy. But a lot of times the loans were paid off or paid out. So your day one of your loan, when the clock starts running, is an odd day. And so the question then becomes incurred versus paid. So for instance, if you had a two-week payroll period and your loan happened on the 13th day of your payroll period, are those first 13 days, do they, and how do those, do you actually account for them as being paid for by the loan, even though the check might have been written, a day before, 2 days before you actually got the money? You know what I'm saying? In other words, timing is kind of an issue in terms of incurred and paid. What's qualifying here? What's incurred or what's paid?
There's an alternate date you could put on there. So when your pay period starts after you receive the funds, the first pay period starting after that can be your alternate dates. So that's where you would get your, that's what I would do, is use it moving forward. This is my pay period starting here and moving from there, moving my 8 weeks or my 24 weeks from that date.
So as an example, if you got your money on, and I'm going to make a date up here, but if you got your money on March the 20th, your first payroll period may happen in April. And it's okay to claim all of that money that was paid, even though the wages were earned in prior to the time you got your loan. You're okay to claim that because the monies were paid out after you had gotten your loan. Correct.
So you can use either that first pay period or the one that starts the pay period after you get your loan.
So
there's
in
an
theory,
alternate.
then, those 2 weeks at the end of your loan, people would have been working, and then when you made the payment, you can still capture those. So either on the front end or the back end, they don't really care.
Right. There's a date. There's a alternate date area on the application for forgiveness. There's a separate area that you can put in your alternate date.
Got it. Okay. I'm gonna unmute other lines here in case anybody has. I see we had somebody else join us too. But otherwise, is there any questions before we move on to? Okay, hearing
We're
none,
good?
I'm going to give it back to you, Kathy.
All right. Well, I just thought I'd throw this out there in case anybody was interested in working with us. We do have a forgiveness package where we can help you with review your situation and recommend the appropriate loan plans, offer a calculation of optimum loan amounts. We would take the terms and conditions for repayment waiver into account and preparations and submittal of the loan application with the banks, with a bank participating in the program. Compliance advice to maximize that potential for obtaining a full forgiveness, and ongoing documentation review and assembly throughout the loan period to maximize that repayment waiver. Provide adjustments to the loan compliance procedures as things are changing, and then do that final application processing. And all you have to do is send us a draw request anytime that you would need money before you make those transfers like we were talking about. So if anybody's interested in working with us, we do this work for folks, and we'd be happy to talk with you a bit more about it.
There was one other point that maybe I'd like you to comment on. Is my understanding is that there is a debate currently between Congress and the IRS as to how these loans affect your ultimate taxation, in that these loans are, if they're forgiven, they are not to be considered income on your year-end financials. However,
Correct.
the IRS is currently taking the position that if you use a loan to make payroll, for instance, for 2 months, that you may not deduct your expenses for payroll and rent and such, so that
Correct.
will leave you essentially with whatever your payroll amount is now going to be a deduction you lose. That will raise your taxable income at the end of the year, effectively making the loans taxable. And if people don't see it coming, unless there is a change in federal law or the IRS backs down, even if you get forgiveness, you have to be prepared for the tax liability that might be coming. And if you're an S Corp or an LLC and need to move that money into your personal accounts, you have to start doing that tax planning and strategizing now, because it's a long curve on that. Is that
Right.
am I depicting that correctly?
Well, it's a bit of a wash. The money, it really isn't hitting your books. The money's not income, then the money isn't an expense. So the money's not hitting your books at all. What you have probably is maybe a reduction in your costs, clearly, because the government's paying your costs for you. So that's where, if you're still getting your money from your customers and but you're paying your people out of the government money. Yeah, clearly your income's going to go up there. So definitely, you want to keep it off your books. I mean, it's in the books, but you want to keep it separate. You want to definitely flag those loan proceeds, and you definitely want to flag those PPP expenses during that time that you're claiming to use the loan money for. So you really want to keep it separate as much as possible.
Right. But if you had $50,000 of deductible payroll, you would lose $50,000 of deductible payroll, just making a number up. So your taxable income is then higher, right, at the end of the year?
Oh, yes, it would be, because you're not deducting that because somebody else paid it. You didn't pay it, so it's not an expense to you.
Correct.
And in essence, you didn't pay it. The government paid it.
Right. My understanding is that the Congress is trying to work through that with a bipartisan bill to address that, but just so people are aware of the current situation, is there are tax implications that you need to be thinking about now, or paying attention to that, what Congress is doing there.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Kathy, is since it's what was it, 60-40 now?
It is.
40% of your payroll, 60% of the other. So is it
60
wiser
payroll.
to take? Pardon me?
It's 60% is for the payroll.
60% payroll. Before, when they first came out, was it 75 or 70 or something like that?
75 and 25. Yeah.
75 and 25. Would it be smarter to not take the minimum on the payroll? Don't max out on payroll. Just take the minimum that they require on the payroll, and then max out on your other deductibles like your gas, your utilities, and stuff like that. That would probably not have an effect then on your income at the end. Is that correct?
Correct. I guess I'm not understanding.
To save on taxes in the long run, wouldn't you want to say, okay, I'll pay my minimum 60% on the payroll, and instead of going more than that on the payroll, because that's the minimum you have to pay, and then take all the 40% off of my utilities and gas and whatever to save taxes at the end of the year.
Right. To forgive the loan. I mean, the stuff that's not forgiven, that's going to be income, and then that's going to be a loan for you. And then, yeah, it's going to get complicated, definitely. And you want to keep it separate. That's all I can tell you. I would go to the 60%, and you don't want to go over the 40% there either, because apparently if you go over 40%, none of it'll be forgiven. There's kind of a loophole in there. It's kind of a snag in the system.
So you have to have your numbers right on the money, otherwise you'd be paying tax on it.
Right.
And is that 40% hard
It
stop?
won't be forgiven. You'll be paying back a loan.
Yeah. which is still very favorable, in terms of the rates and all, but is that new? Because my understanding in terms of when they moved to the 40%, that's more of a hard stop, that it
The
affects all of the
40%,
forgiveness?
apparently so. That's how
Interesting.
I'm understanding it, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Other questions? Okay, well, I don't hear any other questions. Kathy, any final
Okay.
thoughts, and then I'll wrap up after that?
So, well, I hope it's been helpful. I appreciate you having me here and having the opportunity to talk with you folks. And if you need me at all, I'm here. info@ibcbookkeeping.com, or you get the number there.
Yeah.
Shoot me a text or an email. I'd love to talk with you.
And
Wish you all the best.
Kathy is a member of the PHCC of Wisconsin, and if you, for some reason, don't have these, we'll be able to help find her as well. If you just call the association office, we can do that. One thing that I would love is if any of you have any thoughts or ideas about other topics that you'd like during these business segments, we'd love to hear them. Please, by all means, include anything related to accounting, bookkeeping, QuickBooks, any of the things that Kathy can help us with, but certainly any other topics, whether that's legal or insurance, banking, bonding, you name it. We have a lot of experts that we'd love to make available to you to answer and help you with business decisions that you're making. So that's one of the best resources that the association can be, is to connect you with people who have the answers on a lot of these issues. So feel free to share your thoughts with us. Send me an email and give me a call, and we'd be happy to bring programs to you of particular interest. With that, I'm going to thank Kathy very much for being with us today, and thank all of you for joining us. And look for a follow-up email from us that will include information about how to get access to this program. If there's something that you'd like to see, watch again, by all means, we'll be sharing that with everybody as well. So, well, thank you very much, and you all have a good rest of the day, and be well and stay safe.
Thank you,
Take
Jeff.
care. Thank you.
How soon will this be available for all the members to view?
Dale, great question. I hope that this will be up tomorrow. That's our game plan, is to get it out with an email asking people to follow up.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks all.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.